The sound cuts through Madison Square Garden like a sword. Thousands of New York Rangers fans, unified in a single voice, complete their decades-old ritual. POTVIN sucks. The chant erupts regardless of who they're playing, a tradition passed down from parents to children who weren't even born when Denis Potvin last touched a hockey stick. This is the sad truth behind one of sports' most persistent acts of mockery, a villain created not by facts but by fan fiction. But here's what makes this story incredible. The man they're booing is a three-time winner of the James Norris Memorial Trophy as the league's best defenseman. He captained a New York Islanders team that won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups and a record 19 straight playoff series. He was the first defenseman in NHL history to score 300 goals and reach 1,000 points. In 2017, he was officially named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. How did a player of such undeniable greatness become the subject of one of the most hateful chants in all of sports? The answer lies in a story of pressure, redemption, championship glory, and one misunderstood moment that changed everything. Before Denis Potvin ever played a game for the New York Islanders, he was already carrying impossible expectations. His junior career with the Ottawa 67s was legendary. In his final season, he scored 35 goals and 88 assists for 123 points in just 61 games, shattering the league record previously held by Bobby Orr. This made him the next Orr, a label that guaranteed attention but also placed crushing psychological weight on a 19-year-old. Potvin was smart enough to see the trap. "Hold it," he said. "I don't want to be the second coming of Bobby Orr. I want to be the first Denis Potvin." But the pressure was real. When he played in Boston Garden, he admitted to being affected by Orr's mystique, saying some of his worst performances came there because he felt the comparison so intensely. The burden got heavier because of his personality. Teammates described him as sophisticated, a player who would order fine wine at dinner. He was intelligent, articulate, and outspoken, qualities that could seem like arrogance in the blue-collar hockey culture of the 1970s. Then came his defining moment, though not the one you might think. On December 16, 1973, Potvin overslept. The team bus for a game against the Philadelphia Flyers was scheduled to leave at 10 a.m. A frantic phone call from teammate Bob Nystrom at 9:50 a.m. woke him up. He rushed to the arena, but the bus had left without him. The Islanders lost 4-0 to the Flyers. The media reaction was explosive. The press immediately painted the league's most expensive rookie as spoiled, immature, and undermotivated. It was a minor mistake, but it became the concrete event that all the whispers about his personality could attach to. If you're enjoying this story about overcoming adversity and proving doubters wrong, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more underdog stories coming your way. Coach Al Arbour put Potvin through a brutal hour-long skating session the next morning. General manager Bill Torrey fined him and demanded he apologize to the entire team. Potvin stood before his teammates and delivered a simple message: "I goofed. I'm sorry about it, and I can assure you that it will never happen again." He later called this incident his personal turning point, a critical lesson in professionalism. Despite the controversy, Potvin's rookie season was incredible. He led the entire Islanders team in scoring with 54 points and racked up 175 penalty minutes, showing he could play both skilled and physical hockey. His performance was so exceptional that he won the Calder Memorial Trophy as Rookie of the Year, becoming the first defenseman since Orr to win the award. As Potvin matured, so did the Islanders. His individual brilliance quickly elevated him to the top of his position. In the 1975-76 season, he produced a staggering 98 points, leading all NHL defensemen in scoring. That year, he won his first James Norris Memorial Trophy, ending Bobby Orr's unprecedented 8 consecutive wins. The 22-year-old had symbolically completed the passing of the torch. He would win the Norris again in 1978 and 1979. But Potvin's development wasn't just about skill. Early in his career, his outspoken nature sometimes created friction in his own locker room. His confidence was often seen as arrogance. The turning point came during the 1976 season when Potvin recognized the divide he had created. He held a locker room meeting and apologized to his teammates. Coach Al Arbour later identified this moment of humility as the beginning of putting our championship team together. This growth culminated on October 11, 1979, when Potvin was named the 3rd captain in franchise history. The Islanders' dynasty wasn't just built around him, it was built through his evolution as a leader. In Potvin's very first season as captain, everything came together. The team embarked on one of the greatest runs in North American sports, capturing 4 consecutive Stanley Cups from 1980 to 1983. During this period, the Islanders won a record 19 consecutive playoff series, a feat that may never be repeated. Potvin was the engine of this dynasty. He led by example, embodying the team's identity perfectly. "My leadership qualities had nothing to do with what I said, he explained. "It was important to me to go out night after night and show that intensity." He was the complete player, a sublime offensive talent who was also a physical powerhouse. But even during this peak period, Potvin faced incredible personal challenges. His father, Armand, was fighting a prolonged battle with cancer. The illness and eventual loss of his father was a blow that traumatized him. This emotional strain was compounded by the bitter breakdown of his first marriage. The divorce became a public spectacle in 1983 when his estranged wife made serious allegations against him. However, the court ultimately rejected her claims. Reports noted that her testimony was discredited. Potvin vehemently denied the accusations, saying, "It could have destroyed me, except that it was totally untrue," and the judge saw that. The combined weight of these personal struggles took a clear toll. The 1982-83 season was statistically the worst of his career. His play was described as inconsistent, and he managed only 12 goals in 69 games. This makes his performance in the 1983 Stanley Cup playoffs absolutely remarkable. With the Islanders driving for their 4th consecutive championship, Potvin elevated his game magnificently. He delivered a splendid playoff performance, contributing 8 goals and 12 assists for 20 points in 20 games and playing a crucial role in securing the team's final Stanley Cup. By the time he retired following the 1987-1988 season, Potvin had rewritten the NHL record book. He became the first defenseman to score 300 goals and the first to record 1,000 points. When he hung up his skates, he stood alone as the NHL's all-time career leader in goals, assists, and points for a defenseman. But none of this mattered to Rangers fans on February 25, 1979. The scene was Madison Square Garden, and the rivalry between the Rangers and Islanders was at its peak. Late in the game, Rangers forward Ulf Nilsson chased a puck into the corner. Potvin moved in to make a play and delivered a hard, physical body check, sending Nilsson crashing into the boards. The result was devastating. Nilsson suffered a broken ankle, his season was over, and his career was forever altered. In the minds of Rangers fans, there was no question about what had happened. This was a vicious, illegal hit that deliberately injured one of their star players. This narrative of villainy was born instantly and has been fiercely protected ever since. But here's the sad truth that Rangers fans refuse to acknowledge. The facts tell a completely different story. No penalty was called on the hit. Potvin has always maintained it was a clean, hard hockey play. Most importantly, the victim of the hit has consistently and publicly defended Potvin. "He was a great hockey player. He was always fair," Ulf Nilsson said in a 2009 interview. "But the ice was never great in the Garden. My foot got caught. It was a freak thing." The Ranger fans were so frustrated. Nilsson's account points to poor ice conditions at Madison Square Garden as the primary cause of the injury. His skate blade got stuck in a rut just before contact, preventing him from absorbing the check properly. The truth became irrelevant almost immediately. That night, fueled by anger and frustration, Rangers fans began chanting, "POTVIN sucks." The chant quickly spread and became a perfect case study in how sports narratives are created. The facts were secondary to the psychological purpose the myth served. For Rangers fans, it provided a simple explanation for their team's inability to overcome the Islanders' dynasty. The chant's persistence was aided by its adaptation to a popular organ tune, which gave it a memorable rhythmic structure. By 1985, a novelty song was even recorded and sold on vinyl. When the arena's organist stopped playing the tune, fans simply began whistling the melody to keep the tradition alive. For Potvin, the experience was initially difficult. He described the early years as almost life-threatening, recounting incidents like a battery being thrown from the stands. Over time, however, his perspective softened. He came to see the chant as a strange form of respect. The career of Denis Potvin remains a study in contradiction. In the record books, on the Stanley Cup, and in the Hockey Hall of Fame, he is a giant of the game, a revolutionary talent who redefined his position and captained a dynasty. In the rafters of Madison Square Garden, however, his name echoes as a mythical villain. The objective facts are clear. The hit on Ulf Nilsson was a legal check on which no penalty was called, and the victim himself considered it a clean play. These facts were sacrificed for the sake of fan identity and rivalry. Potvin became a convenient villain whose perceived transgressions fueled a rivalry. While the chant may persist as a quirky tradition, it is the tangible evidence of his career that constitutes his permanent legacy. The 4 Stanley Cup banners, the retired number 5, and his name throughout the NHL record books are the true testaments to his greatness. The noise from the crowd fades over time, but the achievements of a champion are forever. What do you think about Denis Potvin's legacy? Was he really a villain or just a victim of circumstance? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into hockey history, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories that separate sports myths from reality.